From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Monday, August the 26th, 2024. We open with Israel's early morning military operation yesterday to prevent a large-scale attack from terror group Hezbollah. The IDF had received intelligence that the terror group was planning an imminent attack on northern and central Israel. Here's IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari speaking yesterday with more.
The IDF identified Hezbollah terrorist organization preparing to fire missiles, rockets towards Israeli territory. In a self-defense act to remove these threats, the IDF is striking terror targets in Lebanon from which Hezbollah was planning to launch their attacks on Israeli civilians. This follows more than 6,700 rockets, missiles, and explosive UAVs fired by Hezbollah at Israeli families, homes, and communities since October 8th. Hezbollah will soon fire rockets and possibly missiles and UAVs towards Israeli territory.
Some 100 Israeli fighter jets struck and destroyed thousands of Hezbollah rocket launcher barrels in Lebanon that were aimed and ready to fire. As Hagari said, Hezbollah did still fire at Israel, though the IDF said its operation thwarted most of the planned attack. It said Hezbollah fired 230 rockets at Israel, as well as 20 explosive-laden drones, causing damage. And an Israeli soldier aboard a Navy vessel was killed and 2 others hurt during a drone strike in the midst of the attack yesterday. It is believed that 21-year-old Petty Officer First Class David Moshe Ben Shitrit was hit by shrapnel from an Iron Dome intercepting a drone. The IDF is still investigating. Rockets and drones continue to be fired at northern Israel today, and the IDF continues to respond, hitting terror targets and terror infrastructure in Lebanon. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the operation at the start of his government meeting yesterday in Tel Aviv, saying what happened today is not the end of the story. He said early this morning Hezbollah tried to attack the state of Israel with rockets and drones. We directed the IDF to carry out an intense preemptive attack to remove the threat. Netanyahu said Nasrallah in Beirut and Khomeini in Tehran need to know that this is an additional step in changing the situation in the north and returning our residents securely to their homes, saying, and I reiterate, this is not the end of the story. A rocket was also fired from Gaza by terror group Hamas at central Israel last night. It landed in an open area near the city of Rishon, Lezion. There were no injuries there. The IDF hit the rocket launcher in Khan Yunis. And the IDF announced 5 casualties in Gaza fighting over the weekend. They are 20-year-old Staff Sergeant Amit Tzadikov, 36-year-old Master Sergeant in Reserve Shlomo Yonatan Chazut, 27-year-old Sergeant First Class in Reserve Daniel Pechenyuk, 23-year-old Sergeant First Class in Reserve Nitai Metodi, and 35-year-old Sergeant Major in Reserve Yaniv Yitzchak Oren. The IDF continues to battle Hamas in Gaza, eliminating terrorists and destroying terror infrastructure, including it shared today a Hamas terror tunnel that was about 700 meters long, just under half a mile. Talks, meanwhile, continue to try and reach a hostage release and ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. Israel's delegation returned to Cairo yesterday in those efforts. The hostages that remain captive in Gaza have now been held for 325 days. Turning now to France, where police arrested a man suspected of setting fires outside the Beit Yaakov Synagogue in La Grande Motte on Saturday morning. The suspect had what appeared to be a Palestinian flag tied around his waist and was captured on video setting fire to several cars outside the synagogue. One of the cars exploded, injuring a police officer. The rabbi of the congregation and several worshipers were present inside the synagogue but were unharmed. France's interim Prime Minister Gabriel Attal visited the synagogue and called the incident a shocking anti-Semitic attack, telling the Jewish community that France will always stand by their side. Attal saying to attack a French person because he is Jewish is to attack all French people. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the U.S. Army, General Charles Q. Brown Jr. is in Israel, meeting yesterday with IDF Chief of Staff Major General Herzi Halevi for the IDF said a situation assessment, and today visited the Northern Command and was shown the fighting against Hezbollah. The IDF said the two discussed security and strategic issues, the expansion of operational tools, and the strengthening of regional partnerships as part of the response to threats in the Middle East. The IDF vowing it will continue to deepen its relations with the U.S. military out of a commitment to strengthening regional stability and coordination between the two armies. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Monday, August the 26th at 7 o'clock. It's episode 13 of the hit Israeli series Srugim. At 7:30, FIDF CEO Steve Weil is joined by Noya Govrin, director of the Lone Soldier Program at Nefesh B'Nefesh, to talk about the challenges that lone soldiers face during the war and how her organization supports them. At 8, Abigail Pogrebin speaks with legal scholar and columnist Noah Feldman to talk about his book, To Be a Jew Today, which offers a profound exploration of what it means to be Jewish in a time of global crisis. At 8:30, FIDF CEO Steve Weil and Major General in Reserve Nadav Padan discuss Israel's recent military actions, including the strike against Hezbollah and the complex balance between security operations and hostage recovery. That program is also coming up next. At 9, Scott Shea is on L'chaim. At 10:30, an encore of the news. And that's the JBS News Update for Monday, August the 26th, 2024. I'm Teisha Bader. Am Yisrael Chai.